Mr. Deedat, there is one question here. Now, could you elaborate about your statement in connection with Tunku's dialogue with the Pope? Now, can you come back to the microphone and answer this question? Elaborate that, and perhaps we would like to know more of this if you have. That is my first question. You can use that microphone.
Yes. You see, when I came to this beautiful country of yours in 1984, I met the Tunku. And he asked me, Ahmad, that's my name, he says, this dialogue of yours with the Pope, what happened? I says, no dialogue took place. You wanted to know why? I says, no, His Holiness didn't mean the dialogue in the sense which the Quran speaks. The Quran, Allah Ta'ala wants us to have a dialogue with Him, with the Christians. Ta'ala, come, talk about Allah's unity. He is the one and only Allah that there is. This is what Allah wants us to talk. That we don't associate partners with Him. Talk about that. So when His Holiness was making proclamations, like He's making today, you must see the star, this morning star. He wants to have a dialogue with the Muslims. So after many years of waiting, I wrote to His Holiness that I am prepared to come over to the Vatican and have a dialogue with His Holiness. Because the Bible says have a dialogue and the Quran says we must have a dialogue. So there was no reply. So I sent him another letter, there was no reply. So I sent him a telegram. His Holiness the Pope, I sent him a telegram. So I get a response telling me that he's prepared to receive me in private, in his secretariat. So I wrote back asking him, how big is your secretariat? Because this is not a private matter. A dialogue with the Muslims is not a private matter between Ahmad Deedat and the Pope, that I go and enjoy a cup of tea with him and have a nice good time, and he gives me a gilt-edged Bible as a present, and I come and tell the people, I says, you know, I went to the Pope and he gave me tea and he kissed my hands. This is wanting to boost my ego. What a great guy I am. I said, no, this is not a private matter. The whole Muslim world wants to know, the Christian world wants to know, what are you people talking? So how big is your secretariat? Because 3 plane loads of Muslims are coming from South Africa alone. Youth from Durban, Johannesburg and Cape Town, and from the Middle East, and from the UK. How big is your secretariat? No answer. Again, no answer. Actually, he didn't mean that dialogue. He is telling his people, go and preach to the Muslims. Go and convert them. But he doesn't use the word convert because you're going to react. So the best way is talk about a dialogue. This morning's paper, dialogue. I go to Birmingham delivering a lecture. And in that lecture, I meet Dr. Abdullah Nasif of the Rabita. So he's asking me, Ahmad, what happened about your dialogue with the Pope? So I told him, I says, you know, this was just a hoax. He didn't really mean a dialogue in what sense we understand. What Allah wants us to talk about, no, not about that. So he says, you know, he did it to me too. Dr. Nasif, he says, he did it to me. I said, what did he do? He said, he called me for a dialogue and I went. You know, simple people, he said, and I went. And he goes. He said, they made me to wait at the Vatican in a waiting room. After 10 minutes into another higher grade waiting room. After another 10 minutes, still higher grade waiting room. And in comes His Holiness. Embraces him, kisses his hand. Fantastic, fantastic gentleman. Say, are you from Egypt? Dr. Nasir says, no, I'm from Saudi Arabia. Meaning that the guy didn't know, or maybe he was expecting somebody from Egypt. So what's the dialogue? He says, you know, you people don't allow us to build churches in your country. And it happens. Saudi Arabia is the only Muslim country in the world where there is not a church. Only Muslim country in the whole vast world. He says, you people don't allow us to build churches in your country. So Dr. Nasif, a talented gentleman, a well-witted man, he is telling His Holiness that you allow us to build mosque in the Vatican? He says, no, I don't mean Makkah and Medina, but in the rest of the country. So Dr. Nasir said, look, to us the whole of Saudi Arabia is our Vatican. If your Vatican is 10 square miles or 100 square miles, whole of Saudi Arabia is our Vatican, is a holy land for us. Then when I come to your country here, Tunku Abdul Rahman, he is asking me the same question, and I told him, so he says, Ahmad, the guy did it to me too. I said, what did he do? He said, he called me for a dialogue, and I went. When I was around Egypt, he says, I went to the Vatican, to Italy, to the Vatican, and they received me well. Same treatment. First grade of waiting room, second grade higher up, third grade, and in comes the Pope. Charming, charming, kissing your hand, anything he will do. And the dialogue starts. What dialogue? The dialogue is, he says, you know, Tunku, sir, in Sabah, 2 of our Catholic priests have been caught drug trafficking, Dada, and they will die. Can't you intercede with the Sabah government on my behalf? That is the dialogue? No. Allah Bari Ta'ala is telling us to have a dialogue with them on the basis that there is but one Allah. Worship Him, don't associate partners with Him, don't take others as lords and patrons other than Allah. So the dialogue with the Tunku was of another kind, the dialogue with the Abdullah Nasir was of another kind, not the type of dialogue that we are talking about. Come, let us reason together on the worship of the one true God.